Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our project, the Bliss iBand, is about giving a group of people with various physical disabilities and limitations who may not otherwise have the opportunity to actively play music together in a group, that opportunity.
The group began with a group of Bliss cymbal users who had never had the chance to ever be part of a music group. We wanted them to enjoy music and we wanted them to have a good social time. You can practice something through music that you want to have happen in communication, learning to listen to the person who's speaking to you, to make your response be appropriate. This is all helping you be sensitive to what the other person is saying to you and making you aware yourself of what you're creating.
We've seen through participation in this group now over the long term that there have been many other non-musical benefits in terms of improved communication skills and also improved motor skills, right? Because the iPad becomes a very important tool for them. But the precision that's required to play music on the iPad then results in greater fluency and proficiency in just using the device for other things.
For Samantha, she's pretty shy and doesn't take a lot of risks, so the iBand has been great for her. She really enjoys playing the music and singing along to our songs, and giving her opportunities that she probably never would have had she not joined the iBand.
And to be doing that with my friends. For me, it's the most satisfying experience, and I'm so glad that we got started, and I'm so glad Aaron is here doing all the work.
The Bliss iBand was started by Audrey King, a psychologist, and Shirley McNaughton, an educator, in 2013.
Here are some of our students arriving at one of our first sessions.
Now, Shirley and I had known each other for probably 30 years or more at that point. We'd worked together at Ontario's largest children's rehab center. Shirley was a teacher there, and I was a psychologist and an advocate. And as we talked about it, it was very clear that we were going to start a music group using iPads for adults with disabilities who'd never been able to play a conventional musical instrument because of disability.
Shirley also served as the first music director, bringing her experience teaching Carl Orff music to children and iPad music to seniors. After the first year of activity, Shirley and the group invited Aaron Lightstone to take over the role of music director. Aaron continues to bring his expertise as a professional musician, music teacher, and music therapist.
For those of you who are unfamiliar with Bliss Symbolics is a symbolic language, a language of symbols that was developed in response to the Holocaust, to World War II. Shirley and her colleagues in the 1970s, teaching non-speaking children with cerebral palsy, had the flash of insight that this symbolic language could be used to teach various communication skills.
In an article I wrote for a church newsletter, I indicated that the Bliss symbol for ensemble depicted very well what our group was, a group of people progressing forward in harmony.
The general purposes of the iBand at the time of its formation were to provide learning experiences for Bliss users, to facilitate social interactions for Bliss users, and to increase awareness with respect to the abilities of individuals who are non-speaking through demonstrating their musical accomplishments. As the years have progressed, the iBand has realized these founding objectives and continues to see new breakthroughs each year.
We are experiencing the joy of that dream being realized every time we meet.
With the beginning of the COVID pandemic, the Bliss iBand transferred from weekly in-person sessions to weekly Zoom meetings. For context, Zoom is a telephonic software that launched in 2013, the same year the iBand began, and surged in popularity during 2020 when Zoom gained over 2 million users, including the iBand. At first, the many technical complications of transmitting music in a Zoom meeting were overwhelming, and the emerging technology was very limited in its capabilities. Many professional virtual productions use Zoom competitors to unlock critical features. More on this later. My name is Jake Roels. I'm a video director based in Toronto and Prince Edward Island, and since graduating OCAD University, I've worked on a wide variety of projects, including a Cannes World Award-winning documentary about an international music collaboration between artist refugees and ambassadors for peace. I also worked on Beverly Glenn Copeland's musical children's show pilot, which was added to the Criterion Collection in 2025. I also handled virtual conception and direction for the Blue Skies Virtual Music Festivals in 2020 and 2021, creating a 3-day live stream of the musical acts as well as a 72-hour digital social space for festival attendees to socialize, read aloud, run workshops, and play music together. From 2020 to 2024, I was video director at Harbourfront Centre, Toronto's waterfront arts, culture, learning, and recreation campus, where I directed hundreds of live streams and videos for international literary, dance, music, and cultural festivals. I collaborated with artists and educators to create video content that centered disability, gender, homelessness, Black, queer, and Indigenous art and advocacy, and developed production protocols to support artists and contributors with disabilities.
My goal is that I could somehow increase the appreciation and protection of human biodiversity, because it is a backup for everyone on this planet, maybe also in the universe.
I first got involved with the iBand through Aaron Lightstone to produce a video for the iBand's contribution to the 2018 Film Festival for the International Society for Alternative and Augmentative Communication. In 2020, I worked with the iBand again to develop virtual production protocols for the newly popular Zoom platform. With the complications of immunocompromised members and logistics of transporting people with mobility considerations, the iBand has remained a virtual-first collaboration in 2026 and continues to troubleshoot Zoom in order to support its needs. In 2026, the iBand still meets weekly to listen to and jam new music, adding dozens if not hundreds of new songs to their repertoire each year. There are two main ways that iBand members play music together: live jams, where the group plays songs together live over Zoom, and asynchronous recordings, where the group records parts to songs individually to be assembled later in editing. These recordings usually include a guest artist brought in by Aaron Lightstone. Past guest artists have included Ken Whiteley, Mr. Nobu, and Abigail Lapel. The live jams are held over Zoom and led either by Aaron Lightstone or by Shirley McNaughton, who uses Chordify to lead songs. Chordify is an app that provides backing tracks, chord diagrams, and other musical information about any song that it can interpret, either by uploading a song to Chordify or by linking Chordify to an external YouTube video, for instance. Asynchronous recordings utilize handheld videography by iBand helpers and methodical recording by iBand members to capture their best performances. The asynchronous recordings don't require Zoom and therefore are able to bypass any telephonic issues like latency, compression, and audio feedback. More on these concepts later. In 2025, Shirley and I created a proposal for a role called the Education and Engagement Coordinator, someone to facilitate the iBand's technological development over a 6-month period and hopefully beyond. Now, this would involve working with iBand helpers and creating workshops, videos, and documents for educating the group on virtual production practices, as well as emerging technologies to support their ongoing collaborations. The goal of this project is to support technical education and engagement for the iBand. This project necessitates core knowledge in post-production, live streaming, audio and video recording techniques, and cloud sharing fundamentals. The iBand has been a technically comprehensive project that has employed cutting-edge technology since its inception. The first generation of iPads had been released just 3 years before the iBand's formation, with GarageBand for iOS coming a year later in 2011. In 2020, Zoom didn't have the same technical capacity that it does today, though the key barriers to virtual music making remain consistent despite the growing technological features that mitigate these obstacles. At the beginning of this Trillium grant project in January, I identified 3 critical barriers that the iBand faces in virtual production. First, latency and feedback in Zoom. Getting everyone on a Zoom call consistently hearing each other is key to jamming with each other. I spent a lot of time researching Zoom's competitors, pro telephonic systems like Skype TX, vMix, Wirecast, etc. I'd hoped to find a platform that could provide a user-friendly, stable, low-latency experience with clean audio. And many platforms could accommodate 3 out of 4 of these, but only Zoom purports to deliver all 4. Now, that said, Zoom doesn't provide these functions out of the box, and I've spent hours in chats and email threads with Zoom support and developers to try and implement these features that it advertises, like far-end audio control, ISO audio tracks, sign language pop-out windows, and remote unmuting privileges with limited success. All of these features are staples in other pro telephonic software and would help the iBand greatly. The second barrier I identified was getting clean audio out of GarageBand. I apologize, this is going to get a little technical because I had originally planned to centralize the virtual instruments in one digital audio workspace using RTMP, a networking technology, but the technical complexity this would introduce for users made the solution unusable. The third key barrier was hardware requirements and planned obsolescence. Creating a learning database for a project like this is challenging. Tutorials for software and hardware become continuously obsolete as software and hardware both update regularly. How many times have you Googled a solution to a problem only to have the tutorial refer to menus or buttons that no longer exist? For me, it's a lot. Therefore, establishing core principles of virtual production for iBand helpers became a primary focus, along with specific tutorials for their existing technologies. The iBand's learning database and the workshops I've run have covered foundational knowledge to support the iBand helpers and facilitators understand the principles of minimizing audio feedback, maximizing telephonic etiquette, easing post-production workflows, and troubleshooting iOS software to realize their production ideals. The project required dynamic pivoting to engage and educate in ways I didn't anticipate at first, so the focus shifted from the projected workshops and videos to developing a more comprehensive learning database of videos, slide decks, and infographics which cover, among other things, signal flow diagrams, what plugs into what for a virtual production and how that signal gets out to an audience. Plus, iOS operation, installing and running iPad software on conflicting versions and models. And production protocols, how the professionals deliver high-quality, low-latency live streams. Some topics that required exploration that I didn't anticipate prior to the start of the project have been cloud storage and sharing, establishing a centralized solution for video editing for the iBand, as well as post-production workflows, establishing the core concepts of video editing protocols and making that easier for the iBand. As well, visibility and accessibility. A light mode versus dark mode in various softwares, for instance, is a key consideration for this project, and collaborating with the iBand helpers to ensure software is configured to support people with vision, movement, and other accessibility considerations has been a key step and a learning process for me.
The one big one that I've got before I turn this over to Rebecca is having the black background.
Can you see my Premiere screen right now?
Well,
Yes,
yeah.
Okay,
As
so
usual, I can't read anything, but
right, but so this is Premiere. So we go Edit, Preferences, Appearance, and so
Right.
right now I have it set to dark mode, right? So everything is black, like you said. But if I click light mode, now you can see everything is white.
oh my gosh, that'll make such a difference.
The iBand has a diversity of technical expertise, engagement, and musical experience. Watching members share tips with each other on GarageBand and Zoom operations is very inspiring and highlights the progress and determination of the iBand. It's hard enough to get a group of people seeing and hearing each other on a Zoom call to make music with each other who don't have the same accessibility considerations that the iBand does. The barriers iBand members already faced in musical collaboration when virtual production wasn't a consideration makes a project like this very challenging and highlights both their collaborative spirit and the project's importance for accessibility advocacy. With regards to engagement diversity, some iBand members join the weekly jam sessions without playing along to learn the songs for playing on their own when a helper or hardware is available for them. It's a pleasure having these members socializing in the chats, and hearing their contributions for the asynchronous recordings later is great.
And we'll keep an eye on chat because Elaine Drover says she has a story, so we'll watch chat to find out.
Some members join the weekly jams but can't be heard consistently due to hardware limitations. And here's where I get a little technical and talk about latency, compression, and audio feedback. Zoom's ambient noise suppression by default removes all sound that isn't what it recognizes as human speech. It analyzes incoming sound and attempts to repair it to deliver clear human speech through the meeting. Now, this introduces a fluctuating latency, a delay between making noise and hearing noise, as Zoom processes the audio and alters it to deliver clear dialogue, or attempt to anyways. Zoom also suppresses its own transmitted noise, meaning that the built-in speakers and the built-in microphones on most mobile devices and laptops are sufficient for a Zoom call, even though the speakers and the microphones are usually so close together that the built-in mic would hear the built-in speaker. Microphone and speaker placement is a key component to audio production, and microphones detecting their own sound through a speaker results in signal recursion or audio feedback. Zoom's default noise suppression is great for meetings where people are talking, but bad for meetings where people are trying to make music together. And Zoom has functionality to disable this ambient noise suppression called the original sound for musicians mode, but without an understanding of how audio feedback is created and a considered audio monitoring setup, this mode can't be used effectively. All this is to say, remote music making presents many technical complications, but with consideration and determination, those barriers can be diminished. Back to the diversity of engagement, some iBand members have a comprehensive audio setup with USB microphones and speakers to achieve high fidelity sound with low latency, or they're fortunate enough to join from a quiet room where noise can be balanced. And there have been many developments to the iBand over the past 6 months of the project, but the 4 key successes from my perspective center around facilitating the band's music making. It's my hope that the learning database I've developed continues as a living library of sorts of foundational knowledge for virtual production concepts, editing workflows, and the software and hardware utilized by the iBand. It's already populating with both generalized core principles and tutorials developed by iBand helpers, as well as generic music theory and external resources for independent learning. This database will support band members and helpers alike as it grows and shapes around members new and old. We've developed a comprehensive post-production workflow. A key consideration for the iBand is their shared file structure as the facilitators collaborate in video production. And even entirely localized video production requires comprehensive file management, and remote production adds a certain degree of complexity to that process. In collaboration with the Bliss Symbolics Institute of Canada, we've developed a shared cloud space in a Google Drive that will make the iBand's already ambitious video productions more efficient. The iBand's YouTube channel already has dozens of video projects, including self-produced feature-length videos, and continues to grow. Liam is the newest iBand member. He's known Shirley for a long time and has joined the iBand recently to play, and has moved from just listening along to jamming along, but without being heard consistently.
Do we need to do a breakout room with Jake for Liam to get set up?
Not today, Aaron. Liam's going to listen today.
Oh, okay.
He needs to sort out all his technology.
Okay. So just observing today.
Liam's hardware setup doesn't support Zoom's original sound for musicians mode yet, But as his helper Liz develops her understanding of production practices through the learning database, and with the support of the other iBand helpers, soon Liam will be heard continuously throughout the jam sessions. It's great to have him. Last, a little more on the original sound for musicians mode in Zoom. I talked already about how this function allows for low latency, high fidelity audio so musicians can jam in more or less real time provided careful consideration around audio monitoring to reduce feedback is utilized. For an example of this, the iBand members at 2880 Bayview, that's Deshawn, Sherry, and Christine, couldn't be heard during the jam sessions at the start of this project.
Sound checked, but again, you can't hear us here.
Any ideas, Jake? It's kind of mysterious, no?
Well, I think it's the ambience. Like, you can hear my voice right now, right?
Correct.
The Zoom software is working really hard to suppress everything. So I'm testing out a few different things, and I have a lot of ideas about routing the audio better, right? Like, I think it'd be a simpler setup to have a little 4-channel mixer for this room, rather than having multiple Bluetooth devices and just putting them closer to the microphone.
Okay, I like that.
This location is a special case as there are multiple band members joining through one Zoom device in a fairly noisy environment. This requires an advanced setup, and now helpers at 2880 are proficient in setting up these complex remote productions and can support other helpers and band members with their skills so more iBand members can be heard continuously throughout their jams.
There were a lot of people coming through. Did everyone hear that?
This is the best time. I've heard multiple people playing
Yeah.
for the first time ever.
The education and engagement for the iBand has been a very meaningful experience for me. Spending time with the iBand, getting to know the members, and developing a more comprehensive understanding of the nuanced barriers between people with movement disorders and remote productions has been illuminating and inspiring. As telephonic technology develops its ability to suppress feedback and ambient noise, remote collaboration will become easier. And as internet speeds become faster, latency will become more manageable. Now, it's my view that using these softwares and pushing for better integration of their features is key to disability advocacy. All in all, whatever technological advancements the future brings, the iBand's developing foundational understanding of audio, video, and remote productions, coupled with their collaborative, innovative, and determined spirit, will keep the iBand on the forefront of emerging technologies and accessibility advocacy as they boldly journey into the future.
Say everything can be replaced. Say every distance is not near.
So, this has been a pretty exciting. Here is how Audrey and I reflected on our exciting journey.
9 months ago, I would never have dreamed that we would have been gifted with startup money from the Lillian and John Wright Foundation to set up what we had thought about as a group of adults with physical disabilities who've never been able to play an instrument because of their disability, or even been part of a playing music together kind of group.
That's right, and when I first saw an iBand being performed, that's only 3 years ago. These were young, able-bodied men, and I was able to take that to some retirement groups in Toronto and in Florida. But to be able to take that same kind of pleasure to people with disabilities, it's fantastic. And then my Bliss folk, who I've known for many, many years, could be part of this has been extra exciting for me.
I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released.
The most memorable moment from the iBand is when Joe Jessup and Silvano said to me, "We like you because you take time to listen to us."
My most favorite moment was when I first heard iBand play at the concert. That's when I decided that I wanted to join the iBand.
My most memorable moment was when Aaron started with the group, and he had a different way of teaching us and giving help to Shirley.
When I got in the iBand, as I loved music and my iPad.
My most memorable moment was when I found out Ken Whiteley played with Rafi.
I like being in band because I see my friends.
You kept me to beat. Shirley gave me chance to go on a band music class. Thanks for all you. Fisher, thanks again for having me fun.